Thank you so much. I'll just do the formal round of introductions. Vivek Narayan Sharma sir is an advocate and litigation strategist at the Supreme Court of India and an expert in constitution, arbitration, insolvency and corporate criminal economic offences. He undertakes pro bono legal activities to improve the hues and spectrum of society. It is a pleasure to have you here, sir. Followed by Mani Gupta. With over a decade of experience in commercial law work, her primary focus is on dispute resolution and arbitration. She is a strong advocate for mental well-being and mental health at the workplace. She was also on the NLSIU's Alumni Association governing board and a co-founder of Samvedana, a forum intended to highlight the issue of mental health and well-being in law. Congratulations, ma'am. That's really amazing. Dr. Pallab Das, he's the founding dean and associate professor of law. He's always believed in the philosophy that I've seen many humans without clothes and many clothes without humans. And that's amazing, sir. And I've always tried to be the first one. With a never to give up attitude, he's been able to create himself to who he is today. It's a pleasure to have you here on board, sir. Dr. Samir Parikh. Dr. Samir Parikh is an eminent psychiatrist and has played a significant role in enhancing the image and reach of mental health across the country. He's the director of Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences Department, Fortis National Mental Health Program, and one of the very few comprehensive multi-city, multi-centric mental health care programs in the entire world. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. And finally, Shrinkhla Jain. Shrinkhla Jain, an in-house legal counsel. She's also an international Preksha mediator trainer, actively involved in training people from various countries and corporates. That's amazing, ma'am. Around different forms of mediation. Besides this, she's also a certified yoga trainer and has trained more than 100 people virtually during COVID for effectively managing stress and anxiety through yoga. This is amazing, and it's a pleasure to have here on board with us, ma'am. And I'll let the panelists take charge after this. Please proceed with the session. Thank you.
Thank you. I say thank you to the Oak Bridge Publishing and with you, sir, for having invited all of us and talking about such a very important and relevant topic. When we talk about the holistic well-being for lawyers, holistic well-being, it is not merely the physical well-being or just mental well-being, but it is the social, emotional, financial, spiritual. So there are various elements of holisticness. So today, mostly we are going to concentrate our discussions with regard to the mental and physical, but at the same time we would be covering some areas with regard to the financial well-being as well, because we have Ms. Mani Gupta, who is a partner in Sarthak Advocates and Solicitors, and we have Dr. Samir Parikh, who is chairperson of Fortis National Mental Health Program, which is very, very important. So, with regard to my journey, I started my journey in the field of law back in 1999. So, when I started, so prior to that period, I was always exposed to certain kinds of well-being, my own syllabus that I had prescribed. So I would meditate early in the morning and always look forward towards gaining experience in the areas which I am in. So I would study hard and at the same time work and go for practical exposure to understand and to learn my methods, to create my own methods to create well-being for myself. So I will talk about myself later on, but today I want to start with Dr. Samir Parikh, because they have a very interesting mental health program. And while we were talking in the cafeteria outside, so he exposed me to certain ideas as to the mental health and mental illness, which is scattering to almost 15% of the population. That's a finding of by various organizations. So, Dr. Samir Parikh, as you said, that 15% of the world population is exposed to mental illness, which is different from mental wellness. Mental illness and mental wellness are two different things. But at the same time, one is a bigger domain, other is a smaller domain. So please explain to your program. It would be very interesting for all of us to know.
So I think it's very important to understand this, that if you look at the 2022 WHO report, A lot of times we believe that mental health is a post-COVID invention, or COVID brought mental health to light. That's actually not true. Mental health was always a problem. It was always not just one elephant, but a whole herd of elephants in the room which we never cared about. It's just that when at a mass level, the entire society across the globe experienced distress at the same time, certain conversations on stress increased. And because everybody was only communicating digitally, a little bit what social media algorithms did, and it created a false perception that more people are now, let's say, accepting mental health. Are more people aware about the word mental health? Yes. Are more people accepting mental health? In your terms, the jury has to come out on that. Because 75% of people across the globe do not seek help because of stigma and perceived discrimination, fact of life. 10 to 15% of working population has mental illnesses. 12 billion working days are lost to mental health, as in mental illness, and that's a fact. By 2030, $6 trillion will be lost to the economy directly, not the social emotional cost, direct cost, because of depression, anxiety, and some of these mental ailments. The other aspect is that one needs to understand that there is also a lot of quackism in this industry. Like most industries, to be fair, like everybody can become a guide. Everybody can sometimes decide that they can motivate people. But everybody can't practice law in the court of law, right? You have your counsels, you have aspects. But somehow the moment it comes to mental health, everybody is very comfortable replacing. And what that does is that not only that we have a 300% shortage of experts, even those experts' voices are drowned, primarily because somebody can say whatever they want to say. You will get people who will claim to be life coaches. You ask them qualification. It's not mentioned in the act. है ही नहीं तो फिर होगा कैसे? You can't attend a Google course and start saying कि I will treat depression. Depression is a medical illness. अब medical illness है, you can't claim मैंने diabetes cure कर दिया. आप दिखाइए. Double blind study, evidence based, across the board आप करके बताइए, फिर बात करिए. ये तो नहीं हो सकता ना कि मतलब मैं personal experiences is not science. Personal experiences are relatable. But before we go on other topics, just a couple of things we need to look at. Everybody sitting here or whoever hears this or later on has a role to contribute to the cause of mental health by advocacy. You're advocates. You do advocacy for mental health also. 1 in 7 people in the world suffer from mental illness. आप अगर सोशल मीडिया पे हैं तो 7 में से 1 पोस्ट मेंटल हेल्थ पे डाल दीजिए. बस थोड़ा फैक्चुअल रखिएगा, दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Sensitive रखिएगा. The second aspect, psychological first aid can be provided by everybody. Some of you have these big firms. You might be doing some of these ACLS, BCLS first aid training. Psychological first aid करिए. What are the odds that आपको अपनी लाइफ में किसी को CPR देना पड़ेगा? I am not diluting the importance of CPR. We should all know it. There's no question around it. It's life saving. But what are the odds of you needing to do CPR in this lifetime vis-a-vis you needing to provide psychological first aid almost every 3 hours? Somebody or other will be having some problem or the other who will come to talk to you. On an average day, how many people come and talk to you? With some problem or the other, family, friends, colleagues, juniors, seniors, clients for that matter. So psychological first aid can be done. Third thing, workplace mental health needs to be established. Organizations have the responsibility, because evidence suggests across the world that lack of access and lack of awareness to the access of mental health solutions is a reason why workplace employees do not seek help. And organizations, it's high time, have workplace mental health incorporated. In my opinion, it needs to be done in a country like ours. The solution is only digital mental health, because we do not have enough ability of experts like across, as in maybe percentage is less, disproportionately shared. So if you are an organization, you should have digital mental health services available for your employees, which must have therapists trained and qualified as per the state, as per the Mental Health Care Act of India. And second, should have psychiatrists also. if they do not have either the psychiatrist or the psychologist, in fact, both of them, then that's more like going on a social media platform. If you want influencers to give you reels on well-being, then you go on social media, then you don't go to an employee mental health program. So broadly, I think this is what is my thought, and this is the approach that workplaces need to have when it comes to mental health.
That's very much insightful, I must say. And then it appears to me that I can also propose to the Honorable Chief Justice of India to establish or set up a mental health center in Supreme Court, and correspondingly, if we are able to open that one center in Supreme Court, which is going to immensely help to those who are, afraid or shy to talk to about their own mental illness or health, to anyone in general. There is a stigma attached to, okay, what will people think about me if I talk about my weaknesses? So when there are experts of the domain and they are there present in the premises, people would be more likely to go to and meet them and then, talk about more openly. And the solution would be more appropriately provided to them. And in this regard, I must say, I was talking to Ms. Mani, she told me about a very good initiative that they had taken in regard to their farm, but at the same time, they have not only kept that within their own farm, but they have extended to outside also. Ms. Mani, you were telling me about something that you had created with regard to the mental health. So tell all of us, what have you created?
So we run a corporate commercial law firm, but the name of the firm is Sarthak, and part of the reason for that was that the founding team was very clear that we want to do something meaningful with our lives, right, and contribute back to the society as lawyers and also as former students of law. As part of that, there are two things that we have done. I have personally started an initiative called Samvedna, which focuses on issues of mental health and crisis for lawyers. It is not, as Dr. Saab said, I cannot prescribe you medicine and I am not a trained therapist. But we've set up listening circles because, if you look at how the blue zones in the world operate, right? People live up to 100 when they have a sense of community, apart from other factors that some of my panelists will speak to. And a listening circle to that extent, then helps to know that you are not alone in some of the struggles that you're facing. Albeit that, of course, that we can neither prescribe you medicine, nor are we there to do any intervention. Second thing is that through the mental health agencies in the UK, we have in our firm trained mental health first aiders. And this becomes very crucial, especially when you have a colleague who is suffering from, especially in dispute resolution, let's say anxiety in speaking at the courtroom. You may have a colleague who is actually harboring suicidal thoughts and you don't know what to do. It may be too late for that help to reach them. I have had a very close, experience with suicide. My own roommate in college died by suicide. And one of the biggest regrets of my life was that I was not able to help, that I was not able to pick up that phone call, And it may have been the difference between life and death. Similarly, as an organization, what we have done is that we are the first Indian law firm to become a signatory to what is known as the Mindful Business Charter. This is a joint initiative of UK law firms, now not just UK law firms, but law firms across the globe and clients. And honestly, what the Mindful Business Charter is all about is not about mental illness or mental health. It's actually about mental well-being for lawyers, which is what we're discussing today. And it's based on 4 pillars. And I think these 4 pillars are almost commonsensical. Everybody should be able to accept and understand them. And these 4 pillars are openness and respect, effective and smart meetings, mindful delegation, and respect of rest periods. I think these are the 4 pillars that the MBC is based on. We've also come up with a guidance on how to mitigate stress in dispute resolution, because that's something that I do on a day in and day out basis. So those are some of the things, Vivek ji, that we've taken up as an organization and on an individual level.
That's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you have done, Ms. Mani. And I must applaud and appreciate that apart from your own existence, you are able to cater to the people's psyche and help them out in bringing out flying colors within them. At the same time, today we also have Ms. Shrinkhla Jain. She's working as a legal manager in CJ Darsal Logistics. She had her own experiences. She was undergoing a deep mental stress some time back, long time back. And then she, went into a program of her own and fought against her own mental weakness or stress and came out flying color. And today she is here to guide and to inspire all of us that yes, we can make it to the world which is flying, which is, bright as, blue here. So tell us, Ms. Shrinkhla, your own journey with regard to your own, life.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek. Firstly, I would like to thank Vidhi Utsav for giving me an opportunity to be amongst such a distinguished and diverse panel. As my co-panelist has said, that why this topic is so relevant for me is because as a law student, I have undergone what is being really talked about here. So back in 2018, there was so much uncertainty, there was so much lack of clarity as a law student. We were just served, so many dishes and we did not know what to choose. I was so confused as to which path of the career I should take. There was a lot of self-doubt. There was no proper guidance. And I did not even realize when I, get into such anxiety that it ultimately was diagnosed as a mental health issue. So like Mr. Parikh was saying, that, there are different phases of, when you go through an anxiety issue. Some of you may not even realize. First is the stage of realization. It takes a lot of time to even realize on your own that there is something wrong. So I remember that it was almost a year I was struggling. I was behaving in a different manner. People were observing, but I myself was not able to realize what I was going through. After realizing, it becomes very difficult to report that, you have an issue. Again, Mr. Parikh pointed out that there is a lot of stigma attached. People would say, you talk about mental health, I am there, I am going to be there, I will be there to, provide you the mental psychology kit, which he said. But that doesn't happen. You don't get a psychological aid. There is a lot of stigma. You are considered weak. Mental health issue is always considered as a weakness. So that was the stage 2 when, you are very difficult to report. And third stage also comes when you have to get it diagnosed. It becomes very difficult. You had to go through an entire hit and trial process of, visiting different psychologists, psychotherapists, and psychiatrists. And through my journey, what I realized, I visited around 12 of them, and everybody diagnosed me with a different issue. So that is the kind of, the doctors and the psychotherapists and psychologists, and I would not name the institutions, but these were from one of the most coveted institutions. So this was whole, there is a journey to it. Now, when we talk about the holistic well-being, and my co-panelists and I have just right now, considered only mental well-being. But let me tell you, when we are talking about holistic well-being and even mental well-being, there are other elements attached to it which are equally important. If we do not consider those elements, we'll not be able to, even do mentally well. So, as you're all aware, there is Maslow's need hierarchy theory that we all have, heard. So how in my quest of dealing with my own mental issue and after, imbibing on a journey of yoga and meditation and training several people around the world, I have set up my own stage of, proceeding with, the well-being. First, which is also an easier method, is to start with your physical well-being. To be more aware of your body, to listen to your body more frequently, and to engage in the movement. Like Miss Mani has, pointed out very correctly, this is a beautiful, beautiful documentary on Netflix. I think you all should watch. It's Live to 100, which is the story of the blue zones. It talks about the longevity of, the citizens living there. The blue zones have the maximum sanitarian mint, So physical well-being is not only hitting a gym or, training yourself extensively in yoga, but is to imbibe a little movement in you need to change fundamentally with the way you are thinking. Maybe you are, strangling into overthinking about something. From mental well-being, you go to emotional well-being. So when you start realizing your mind more, you realize there's so many vibrations and there's so many, dimensions that are going inside your mind already. And because of those because of those vibrations, are a result of the thinking patterns and the emotions that you have developed over time. And that's where you have to, really work around your emotional well-being. From emotional well-being, you go to the social well-being. So I may be, when I'm sitting in a room, I'm okay, I'm perfectly feeling fine, and I am energetic, I am all set. But what happens to when I go in the crowd, when I have to face the crowd? As a lawyer, it is something that, happens on a daily basis. We have to deal with multiple kind of people, from clients, we'll have to present our case before the judges. So all that, from emotional to social well-being, we progress and start dealing with it. From social well-being, we reach to another level called the spiritual well-being, which we often neglect and we do not talk about. Now, spiritual well-being is not only about, getting yourself attached to a religion and religiously following whatever is being, said. Spiritual well-being is more about connecting with your own self, connecting with your, in spiritual sense, they call it soul. So you connect more with your own self and realize what are a lot of self-reflection inside. So, this is like step by step how you progress towards holistic well-being, and mental well-being and all the other elements of the well-being are correlated, and when you start working on one, the other sides automatically starts improving. Now, one more thing that I would like to, add here are the causes that as a law student and as a lawyer in profession, the reasons why we face, what we call, a physical distress or a mental distress. So, as a law student, like I've already mentioned, there is there's a lot of curriculum pressure that we go through. That we have to present the assignments, we have to be there in the moot courts, we have to participate in the competition, we have the pressure of, attaining a job, that we have a pressure. So these are few factors that, and at that stage only, if we realize the importance of well-being and imbibe some standards and some daily, routines, it will be really great, so that when we reach the profession, in fact, and where there is, additional pressure of finance, like Mr. Vivek has said that financial well-being is also important, then it will be easier for us to adapt. So early detection and early imbibing of, certain healthy routines is something which I have always talked about.
Yeah, it was very nice to hear from Shrinkhla, her own experience. And at the same time, she led to another question. The question is, in the law colleges, are we having some sort of curriculum where we are preparing our generations of lawyers to cope with the mechanism or create a mechanism to cope with the situations that they face after becoming lawyers? So that takes me to Dr. Pallab Das here, who is a founding dean, School of Law in Bhubaneswar. So tell me, Mr. Das, do you think that our curriculum provides such a thing, or in your college, are you providing anything additional for coping, like a coping mechanism for the future, and preparing them to have an inward journey, going for financial independence, financial well-being, social well-being, and emotional, physical, mental, all holistic well-being. So what's your take on this?
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Oak Bridge Publication, Vikesh, sir, for inviting me. Now, I know we are all late, but I would want to, being an academic, I would ask one thing to the entire audience. How many of you have felt that today I really don't want to go to the office? Can I call my boss today and just say, sir, I really don't want to go today, can I take a leave? And how many of you have heard this response? भाई नहीं आना है तो मत आ, कल से मत ही आ. Isn't it? या फिर ऐसे होता है कि okay, you can take a leave, एक डे का सैलरी आपका कट जाएगा और क्या. We talk about holistic well-being, right? भाई, in India, the value of life is so cheap that I can recall my encounters when I was there in UK and I was working there, and my boss saw that my face is a little bit pale today, and she said that, are you not well? I said that, no, I am not well today, but still have come to work because I have to earn for my livelihood there. She said that it's okay, you can take a day off. We are not going to cut off your salary or anything. Do you also know that in Canada, in UK, the time for the lawyers to go back home is 4 o'clock? But here, lawyers work till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. There is no deadline for it. Corporate law firms तो रात में वहीं पे सोते हैं. I have my friends who sleep on the ground in the office, inside the office. Can you imagine what kind of well-being that will be? अच्छा, ये तो हो गया, ये real life experiences हो गए. आप में से कौन बोलना चाहेगा कि आप, someone of you is facing some kind of mental health issue, some kind of physical health issue? कोई हाथ उठाएगा please? Have you ever spoken to anybody? Have you ever dared you think of, you can go and speak to your parents, you can go and speak to your boss, that sir, I think there's something is wrong over here and I need a break, sir. Can you give me 5 days break? 5 दिन का break? नहीं चलेगा. That's what the stigma is. Let me tell you, I mean, when I was boarding my flight, I am diagnosed with genetically having anxiety and depression since last 10 years, and I'm on medication. I was shaking, shivering, that I was thinking that I'll cancel this flight and I'll tell Vikesh, sir, that I probably might not go to this session today. But then I had this, that this is the right thing, this is the right time to voice it out. And my university, I'm happy that we are building up this law school. It's just been 1 year. I have been very approachable to these kind of things. And I've always counseled, I've not counseled the students, I've counseled the parents. That is more important, because your parents say कि भाई अगर अच्छा नौकरी नहीं करेगा तो अच्छा शादी नहीं होगा तो बच्चे नहीं कर पाएगा. और क्यों बच्चे करना है? क्योंकि बुढ़ापा में तुझे कौन देखेगा? This is the mindset that we have. Right? शादी तक ठीक है. अरे भाई बच्चा क्यों करना है? That's also a pressure. We don't know that each thing adds up to your physical, your mental and every kind of pressure. Right? वो तो बात अलग बात है कि that law universities are opening up, a lot of NLUs are opening up. We now have 21 or 29 NLUs. We have so many 1,200 private universities. By 12 lakh students, pass every year. And we really don't encourage these young lawyers to come up and join any of the law firms. That's fine. I think I should say this to Vivek sir. I think this is the best idea, is that हर एक मोहल्ले में mediation center खोल दीजिए. हर एक law student को आप employ कीजिए. Let them earn some money. Let the disputes resolve without going to the court. I think your problems will be solved, your pressure will be solved, your health will be fine. The first thing that I did in the university is that I appointed a counselor. Right? I appointed a counselor that every week we must have a mentoring session. What kind of career you would want to have? Not everybody would want to be a lawyer after a law this thing. Right? Now the situation is that we are entering into Gen Z. 15 seconds का focus है उनमें. After 15 seconds you scroll to the next thing. Right? So I think these are some of the key issues that we need to address in practical life, rather than closing ourselves. Right. So I think my university, we are doing this particular seed money project where we are looking into the mental health issues of the law students across Orissa in the higher education institution, and it's an empirical study. We are in a third month as of the study goes. We will start into the empirical, we'll go to the students and try to understand what is happening to you. Are there really any self-help support in the university? I think you all know that day before yesterday, one corporate in McKinsey, a young corporate guy committed suicide. He was earning 36 or 56 lakh of rupees per year, but he said that he couldn't take the pressure. Why are we so happy saying that we are working 18 hours? भाई 8 घंटा में आप लोग काम नहीं कर सकते जो 18 घंटे तक काम करोगे. What is this enjoyment, happiness that every one of us, especially Indians, get this? We are working 18 hours a day. You need to work. I remember when I was practicing, my senior had told me that if you want to be part of litigation, forget your personal life, forget your friend's life, forget your girlfriend-boyfriend life, you just need to focus on law 24 hours. Sleep just for 4 hours and the rest 20 hours you come to office. This was the advice given to me. And I really am feeling sad to see that the generation Z that is coming up, how will they cope up? And I think, Dr. Saab, we really require a lot, many counselors, therapists, and taking therapy is okay. Please normalize taking therapy. Please do not stigmatize taking therapy. A lot can be done. And the last line I would like to say is that we all need to be kinder. This world needs to be more kind. You probably have seen so many videos going viral where the judge is shouting at a young lawyer coming in between and asking for an adjournment, etc., etc. You don't have to be that assertive, to... भाई आराम से बात करने से भी लोग सुन सकता है, मोहब्बत से बात करने से भी लोग सुन सकता है. We all require a little bit of kinder society. That's what I would say.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah, surely, please.
Since we've talked about suicide, and I just need to follow the guidelines here. Suicide is preventable. Anytime you hear about suicide, please also share information about suicide prevention helpline. The government also has Telemanas, which is a fabulous, fabulous initiative, and we should all be aware about it. Talking about specific suicides is something that we should avoid. Hypothetically, thinking about what the causes was is not how we necessarily see it. There is a lot that happens that we may not always be aware about it. Just because social media is not able to follow the guidelines that are there defined by WHO on suicide prevention and suicide reportage, a lot of our conversations have lost its track. And once and for all, it's death by suicide and not committed. And more importantly, let's be very, very clear, suicide is preventable. Every conversation around suicide should put these two words together. Suicide is preventable. And a lot of factors behind suicide include untreated, unidentified mental ailments, which largely have not been addressed, and not merely the perception about pressures and stresses.
Thank you, thank you. Well, a lot has to be said. Mental illness is one aspect. Mental stress is another of the same domain. Another very important aspect is the financial aspect for financial well-being. Being lawyer, there are so many elements. Many people, lakhs of people are passing law examination every year, but not everyone is financially becoming independent. They are not even gaining the bare minimum, there are no prescription of bare minimum here in the field of law. But before we start this second round of discussion, I just wanted to tell all of you, in my own journey, 3 important ingredients played very important role for me. Focus, vision, and compassion. So I developed these 3 elements by way of an inward journey. So what I would do, I would sit early in the morning in my meditation at 3:30 in the morning in my college time and focus. I developed focus and I would avidly do it under the sky for an hour. So I would keep every thought coming to my mind, think about it, deliberate over it, and then In another round, what I will do, I'll play a cricket. The thought is coming, I am playing a shot on the thought. Okay, you come and I'm throwing you out like a sixer. So this is how, I kept on deliberating on my mind. Somewhere I would focus, not to think. Somewhere I would keep all the thoughts coming to my mind and then play with them. So that way, that deliberation made my mind very competent. And then I was a mathematics topper in my university. But nonetheless, that also helped in my, because of the meditation that helped me really great. So inward journey, allowed me to internalize my own thoughts, feelings, my own internal body. I started discovering within myself what is my reason and what is my strength points, what are my weak areas. And I kept on, building on my strengths and, omitting my weaknesses. So once you attain that journey, afterwards comes to the vision. So at the same time you develop your vision, one must, which I did, means if I tell you about my background, I am a first generation lawyer. I am passed from the Hindi medium. My entire education took place in Hindi medium. I am not from Delhi. I am from a very middle class family. People think that I am something big, born in a silver spoon or golden spoon. Everything, I drive a Porsche, I drive a Jaguar, but at the same time, all that has been earned by me coming in the profession. So there was nothing that I had, but the only thing that I had, my own composure, my own vision. So vision, once you have traveled inside you, known your strengths and weaknesses, and after that you have to build on the vision. On the basis of your strengths, you have to see where you would, do in your life strongly. So I did, encircle myself, okay, there were several things I could have done. So I pointed out myself towards one direction, and then I made a, promise to myself that I will not turn my back towards it, despite all the difficulties I might face. So I kept on walking in that direction. Once decided, not reconsidered it. So I became a lawyer, and after that, it took a little longer period, means maybe 5-10 years, that I started, coming in reckoning. And within, say, a 10 years period of time, I became advisor to several cabinet ministers of the government. So that was very, enthralling for me, very important, breakthrough for me. And then therefrom, because of the vision, because of the work that I had done, so I was getting all that. So the point I want to make here is, altogether, that focus and this vision, created this parameter for me. And then when I coupled it with compassion, so whatever I have today, it is all the combination of these three things. Of course, courage plays a very important role in our life, but at the same time, creating your own financial independence is very much within yourself. I started with peanut, with nothing. I spent 2 nights on the Delhi road when I came here. I came to attend a High Court program, and then the person with whom I had to come, I had to go back. So he had left me, and then I could not go back to Meerut at that time. So therefore, I had to stay back outside the Ashoka Hotel. There is a round. There is a park on the center. So I spent my night over there because I did not have enough money to travel back. So that was 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock on a 20th or 22nd December night. So this may happen, but problem comes when we play victim to ourselves. Oh, it is happening with me. Why am I, getting this? Why am I receiving this? So there are 2 phases to it, that I face it and find my own solution. Means the orientation has to be solution. Or the orientation, if the orientation is the problem itself, that you are focusing too much on the problem. Okay, this problem is happening with me. Everything is happening with me. The entire, sky is falling over me. So then the problems would not be solved. Your own courage, your own resolution to solution can only solve the problems around you. So that's one very, very important aspect. So we come to the financial discussion, which is less discussed area, and there is no method in the field of law, which gives that formula where a junior who is joining an office can get something. Recently, a matter has been filed in Delhi High Court for a stipend, seeking a stipend in the, as an intern. Similarly, in coming time, we might see a few more litigation in this regard, that the juniors should be paid minimum salaries. But at the same time, the field is so, unorthodox and at the same time irregular, that some people get a lot of money and others do not. And the statistics, I must tell you, I mean, no one of you would know, I suppose, the Indian legal industry is of $2 billion as compared to the global legal industry of $800 billion. So it is only a very fraction, a small fraction of the global, legal industry. And out of the $2 billion industry, 95% of the money is squared by 2% of the lawyer, which handle 90% of the work. And remainder 5% of the money is distributed among the 90% of the lawyer. 98% of the lawyer, which do 90% of the work. So this is the very, very drastic appearance that we see here, that how legal industry operate. So in this background, I would like to have a comment from Ms. Mani. Yeah. So what is your opinion about how the lawyers can become financially independent and they can attain to financial well-being?
I think one thing that I have always believed is कि भूखे पेट भजन नहीं हो सकता है. This is something that I always believe, that only the rich people will talk about, philanthropy and all that, because they've seen a life of relative ease and comfort. And if you are a first generation lawyer, sir, so you know how the struggle is, right? And it can sometimes be very, very daunting. And I think that is one of the key features today, key causes of stress, and which is adversely affecting well-being, especially for younger lawyers. Unfortunately, we are in a country where we are not willing to discuss the fact that when a junior joins a chamber or a junior joins any law office, he is stuck to a code of doing that boss's work only, more or less. Everybody does not have an uncle or a father or a godfather in the industry who's going to hand you briefs simultaneously from day one. And unfortunately, also because of this, we don't have a set standard. It is interesting that a domestic worker has a minimum wage guaranteed, even if he's an unskilled laborer, but a skilled lawyer, skilled law student does not have any such minimum wage guaranteed to them. I understand that currently now there are matters pending in the Supreme Court.
An irony is this, that we are lawyers and we fight for others' right, but our own rights are compromised here.
Absolutely, absolutely. No matter what the outcome of that case is, I personally feel that from the get-go, irrespective of what your stipend / salary / remuneration, retainership, whatever you want to call it, is, I think, be wise about, firstly, how much money matters to you, because I think that can decide your career choices. If you are a person with an education loan, please don't be naive to think that you can start in a litigation chamber where they're offering you 10,000 rupees. It is an impossibility to make your payments then if you also have a loan. So firstly, I think we need to, at that age of 22, 23, or whenever we are joining the profession, be very mindful of what is the value or priority number of money in our lives. If it's not a very high priority, very good for you. I think you've hit the jackpot already. But if it is something that you need to make a priority, then be smart about it. And I think that there are, look at the internet today is a valuable tool. Look at people who are offering sound ways of investing your money in a way that it grows and I'm not talking about speculative investments, okay? There are various things one can do even as a youngster with one's money, like putting them in an SIP, putting them in mutual funds, etc. And I'm not a stock analyst or a stock, or a financial advisor, but I personally think that this is correct for every young lawyer, and I think that this is more correct for women lawyers, because a lot of times when we earn our money, we have no real say over how it's going to be deployed. But I think learn to get a say on that. Financial jargon is not so difficult. And I think if that part of your life can get organized, I'm not saying sorted out. I mean, I've still not figured out what is the value of money and how much money I need to retire in 2 years' time when I turn 40. But if I could, then at least I would say that I have my financial affairs in order, that I don't have sleepless nights. And that's an important part.
Thank you, Mani. It's a nice advice. I would turn to Shrinkhla. What is your advice, and what do you think on this financial aspect, and then how can new lawyers can secure their financial independence and financial well-being?
So a lot has already been said about the financial. I'm no expert in the field of giving any financial advice to it. To anybody out here, Mani ma'am has very rightly pointed out that there is a need of, being smart about where to approach in life. So if you, and that clarity needs to be there within the law college itself. The clarity not always comes within you. There are a lot of, counseling, law counseling that is happening in law colleges, and even, beyond that. So if you're not able to understand which direction you would like to proceed, there is always, various doors open for you to take advice on, which direction you should proceed. There are a lot of people who have, an aim of doing LLM from abroad. But obviously, the scholarship is not an easy game, right? And without scholarship, to go there and, on an education loan, survive there, it becomes a very difficult task altogether. So you should have a rare clarity in your mind, as to which direction you should proceed. And you should also be very mindful about the background from where you are coming. Whether you have that kind of financial security with you, what happens, if you go abroad and you do not find a job there and you have to come back to India, what's with that education loan that is on you, right? So you have to have that clarity. And besides this financial aspect, I would really, because, I'm an expert in the field of yoga and meditation, and, I have all my work has been, to prevent rather than cure. And so a lot of people think that yoga, meditation or wellness is something, which is a distinct entity from your profession. You'll have to spend really a lot of time to, invest in your yoga, meditation or a wellness routine, but it's not that. What I've understood over my professional journey is all these wellness, focusing on wellness is like a, a fuel in the engine of your profession. So the more, you're investing yourself in a wellness routine, it's better, and the productivity and, the stress management, it always, plays a role. And I also here would like to, there's a lot, theory which is happening, and it's so much, to take on your head. Somebody is saying, ye galat ho raha hai, ye ho raha hai. So as younger generation, we want straight away, technical tips, right? We're always like, koi hame 3 pointer bata de aur hamari life bas sort ho jaye. You told, right, ki Gen Z.
Which I will tell you.
Yeah, Gen Z is like, hum fatafat scroll, and the content writers are also doing this, right? So from my personal journey or from my personal training experience, I would straight away tell you small tips on how to go with yoga and how to go with meditation while being at your profession. And these are, because considering the younger generation also, because we have, a very less action time. So first, for yoga, what would I like to say is start with moving. Movement is important. Wherever, mindfully engage in movement, wherever you are, whenever you get a chance to stand, just stand. Whenever you get a chance to climb, you climb the stairs. From movement, there is a very beautiful Japanese technique called Kaizen. If you go back and read about it, don't just straight away jump into a thing, but slowly and gradually develop the habits. And third is, whatever you want to be in your life outside, start experimenting that on a yoga mat. That has actually happened, and that's what my guru also told me, that if you want to build resilience, start with your yoga mat. If you want to, bring strength, start on your yoga mat. And similar is the process of meditation. There is a very beautiful technique of meditation which is proven that it does
Shrinkhla,
wonders to
we are having less time. I am already alarmed for that.
Yeah,
so
maybe we'll chat.
So, nonetheless, on their detail. But yeah, I wanted to tell you before I go to Mr. Dr. Pallab and Dr. Samir for the final question. So I wanted to just give you my own, exposure, experience with regard to that. How to create your worth. It's very important that you create your worth. So when I came into the field, I immediately knew that I had nothing, but at the same time I had to, generate everything. So I thought, what is those skill sets that I can develop? So I started working on the skill set. That skill set which is, when I'm at a nascent stage, which I can develop and explore. So in that journey, I would sit in the courts during the entire day period and watch what are the lawyers doing, good lawyers, how they are arguing, how they are propagating themselves, what are the questions judges are asking them, and how they are responding to that. So I used to keep a diary in my pocket. All the word jargon I would write down, sentences also I would write down. I would practice in the night. And at the same time, I understood the importance of reading judgments in the very beginning of my career. So I started reading 3 judgments of Supreme Court every day. And then thereafter, after a few months, I created a circle, 3-4 people. We would, discuss judgments, 3 judgments each, 10-12 judgments we have discussed every day. So that means in a year, we have gone several thousand, 4,000 judgments. So that particular, skill development, because of the judgments, I came to know how the legal provisions have to be read, what is the legal position. So in 1 year time period, after 1.5 years around, I was in a public meeting, in a party, where somebody asked me something, and it was a very important, big matter. And they asked me some query, I was able to respond to that, and that gave me an opening which was, very high worth. So I got that matter at that time. That was a Ganga Action Plan matter, which was being done by Mr. M.C. Mehta at that time. So it was withdrawn from Mr. M.C. Mehta, given to me despite the fact that I had only 1.5 years of experience, or maybe 2 years of experience. I was very handsomely paid in that matter. I engaged Mr. Kapil Sibal at that time, Mr. K.K. Venugopal at that time, within the 2 years of period when I am no one, but then I developed a skill. So developing a skill is very important, and you become formidable because your knowledge is inherent, that knowledge is self-speaking. So I never used to believe what you are saying, what anyone is saying about a judgment or about a court proceeding. I would not talk about those things to people in general. I would go to the textbook, I would go to the judgment fora and read the judgments, find out myself what it is, and then it really helped me. So you never know when the opportunities are going to come. But if you're not ready for that opportunity to capitalize, you are not prepared, you are not thorough, then in that case it will come and it will go away without paying you. So develop that skill set and keep on developing. Sharpen it, keep on sharpening it. And there will come a time when you will be afforded that opportunity and you will really enjoy that portion. So with regard to that, I think in the law school, this is my last question and we would be finishing in 5 minutes now. And with regard to this, Dr. Pallab, are there any prescription with regard to the judgment readings in the law colleges that you have?
Yes, so we do have a compulsory tutorial subject where we show live proceedings. of the Supreme Court and High Court, and since Centurion University is a skilled university, we do teach them a lot of skills pertaining to life. But I would like to ask two questions to the audience. One to a parent. Is there any parent who would like to answer? What do you mean by financial stability? Can anyone answer me? What do you mean by financial stability? Or any young lawyer who would want to answer. What do you mean by financial stability? Right, right. So some, yes. Not having to live from a paycheck to paycheck. Okay. So, and that is only possible if you are a lawyer. If you're a successful lawyer, you will get a good paycheck. If today I would say that I am not the dean of a law school, would you stop respecting me? And if I say that I am a barista steward who makes coffee and who sells coffee, will you not respect me? Will the society's respect lessen? No, right? So we all need to understand that for financial stability, law practice is one of the mechanism or modes, but you must also have a second income. That is only possible if society changes the fact that लोग बोलते हैं कि यार ये नौकरी मत कर, लोग क्या सोचेंगे, ये नौकरी मत कर, लोग क्या सोचेंगे. So once we change this mindset, I think a lot of pressure will subside. I think that is what is more important. We are not aware of the skills. We must learn these skills. किसी को भी पता नहीं है इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, हमारे घर में बल्ब अगर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ये हो जाएगा तो कैसे ठीक करना है. कारपेंट्री किसी को पता नहीं है, because we have looked down upon these kind of jobs. No job is less or greater. And I would just say my last line कि जिंदगी तो हल्की फुल्की सी है भाई साहब, बोझ तो ख्वाहिशों का है. That's all.
My last question to Dr. Samir. Dr. Samir, how much financial stress works on creating the mental stress or leading to mental illness? In your finding, do you think that it has a very great connection in that?
I think we need to be more honest with ourselves, right? And see life the way it is. Sometimes lost in conformity, sometimes lost in cliches, sometimes lost in various forms of likes that we feel we'll get on a social media post. Fact of the matter is, financial security is exceptionally important for any person's well-being across the socio-economic strata, and we cannot escape that fact. And the fact is that in a world, and this is not about our part of the world, in a world where there is increased diversity, increased inequality, increased inequity at various levels, we have to accept that financial aspects play significant part in the quality of life and stresses that individuals have. I think this is very important for us to understand. I also feel that individuals will have to look at their own selves in how they want to approach it. Yes, I believe education system per se needs to go through a change. I know you're all from the area of law, but which area there is education awareness of finance? You think medical education, people like young doctors have financial education? Not at all. We are talking about what should be the bare minimum for, let's say, young law interns and students and people, but we are also talking about capping what a doctor can charge, right? So, I mean, let's not be dishonest about the way we are. Our problem is that in this modern day world of filters, we've got our mirrors very warped, right? We see what we want to see, and then we force ourselves to see that, and then we believe what we are seeing, and then we praise ourselves for seeing what we are seeing, which in any case was nothing except conformity at various levels. Finances is very, very important. Like it or not, young people will also at their own different levels be working. I mean, it's a Sunday evening. everybody sitting here is going to work tomorrow. Is it work-life balance? I'm here, you are here, we'll all be at work tomorrow. I choose to be here for whatever reasons. Am I doing this at the cost of my social health? Yes. Am I doing it at the cost of my break? Yes. Did I choose to come here? Yes. Was I forced to come here? No. I chose to be here. I'm not going to tell you that don't work on Sunday evenings. That's rubbish. I'm sitting here on a Sunday evening. That's a lie. What's the point? No form. I mean, we just get over-critical at times, and frankly, we just when it comes to mental health, personal anecdotes are not science, right? Your own individual stories is not science. Mental illness is real. Millions die, millions struggle, millions suffer in silence because they don't go for help. And they don't go for help because the same nonsense we keep giving them. You do this, you don't do this, this is not this is that. You need to understand that education is not in silhouettes. This is a universal issue. If we understand the importance of finance, it needs to start early in education. If we understand the importance of mental health curriculums are established worldwide. What are we waiting for? If we don't have digital literacy early, it won't work. The story can go on and on. My only last bit is that in all the things that we talk about, right, you can be candid and you can be clear, provided you are willing to see it clear. Just because you want to hear something and end up saying it is not science. It's just entertainment, and life is way beyond it. At the same time, you can have a lot of fun, and it doesn't need to be at the cost of someone else. Trolling is for losers, but the world is full of them. So it's okay, you accept that also.
Thank you so much. So it had been a wonderful, wonderful discussion today, and the topic is very big. The time is short, but at the same time, we could not have covered more than what we had already covered. I want to finish on few lines on creating excellence by Swami Vivekananda. Fill the brain with high thoughts and highest ideals. Place them day and night before you, and out of that will come great work. Fill the mind with it day and night. I am it. I am the Lord of the universe. Never was there any delusion. So believe in yourself. You are the Lord. You are the God. Have faith in yourself. Create excellence. Create focus, vision, and everything would fall in place. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to Oakbridge. And with you, sir, all the very best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think it's the case of no one size fits all. And before you leave the stage, we have mementos to present to you. But I think what I gather from the discussion is basically take care of your body. As Jim Rollin would put it, it's the only place you have to live in. We would like to now present the mementos to all our esteemed panelists. Can we please have a huge round of applause for all the panelists? Thank you.